So again, welcome everyone to the program Your Major, Your Destiny, presented to you by the Career Center staff team. And so before we get started, please take a quick 30 seconds to sign in. Everyone who signs in will get a copy of the slides, and we'll also let you know where you can find the recording for this webinar. This is the first time that we offer this program. We have something very special in store for you, and so we hope that you will find this to be very engaging, very inspiring, and very informative. The link is here on the screen, but it was also shared for you all on the chat. And if you can all just confirm with a quick yes or not there yet when you've filled out the form, that would be really helpful. If you can write that on the chat for us, please, just so we know that the form works just fine. Awesome. Thank you so much, Salma, for confirming that. And so, yes, we'll make sure to copy and paste that form for you all again, and we'll be sharing it throughout the presentation to make sure we get all of your attendance. Okay, I'm going to keep on going. Now, this has been a very difficult, very difficult year. We're not going to pretend like it hasn't been an unusual year. It's still been very challenging. Some of you probably here at UCLA for the first time. Quick yes or no, quick yes on the chat if you're a new student to UCLA. If you're a new student to UCLA. Freshman or transfer, quick yes or, okay, I'm seeing some yeses. Welcome all. I know this is an unusual term. Your headspace is probably in a lot of places. You probably thought right now you would be in a dorm if you're not. Some of you may be at home. Some of you may not have privacy, right? So we know that our headspace is in a lot of places. We want to, for this next 57 minutes, bring you to this space of career, right? And so what we want you to do is just take a few seconds to think about what comes to mind when you think of the word career. And please enter your thoughts in one phrase, but you can submit multiple submissions by visiting this website, menti.com, and enter 9706013, or you can hover with your phone camera over the QR code and it'll take you to this website. So again, please visit that if you're able to open a new tab on your browser, and or you can scan the QR code. And again, what comes to mind when you think of the word career? One word responses, you can submit multiple responses. What comes to mind when you think of the word career? Okay, so again, you can submit multiple responses to this, and this will really help us with setting the tone and really leading this conversation with you all. So what comes to mind when you think of the word career? And as you're submitting your responses, I'm going to go ahead and do a new share so you can see what your peers have to say about this too. Okay. So if any of you are familiar with the word cloud, you know that the more a word response is submitted, the larger it becomes on the screen. And so several of you have already started to enter what comes to your mind when you think of the word career. There's different things that come to mind. Future, right? Professional, passion, money, dedication, impact, a job, permanent job. Dedication, purpose, challenge, temporary, settled, binding, endurance, commitment, success, time, income, right? So what I'm seeing from this, all of these words that come to mind when I think of the word career, notice that there wasn't one specific career that was mentioned. But we have all these thoughts about career, right? Usually it's about what motivates us, what drives us to a career, right? What drives us to a career? We have these like thoughts, we have these intentions, right? Success, we want success. We want fulfillment. We want to make impact, be settled, have an income, right? A lot of these are motivators for work, but we don't always think about specific careers. We just know we need one. Okay, that's why you're here. We're really trying to figure out what that is and go through this exploration process. And when we think about career as a student, we often think, oh, well, I'm studying this. So what can I do with this? It's always like major and career, right? That's how we usually think about it when we're here at UCLA. Okay, so hopefully we're now in this headspace of career. Let me get to the right screen. Oh, okay. Let me find my cursor. Sorry, everyone. I have like 3 screens open, and now I don't know where my cursor went. Oh, here it is. Okay. It's very fortunate to be able to bring my computers from my office. Okay, are we back on the presentation? Yes, excellent. Okay. Okay. So let's start with this other question. What are our career fears, right? What are the career fears? We all have different career fears. So for this, I'm going to launch a poll. I'm going to allow the panelists to vote too, because they're also students like yourself. So can you all see the poll? Let me bring the poll over to you. Here we go. What are your career fears? So I'm seeing several responses here. Choosing the wrong path, not knowing your passion, your major not being marketable, finding a job during a recession, maybe others. Absolutely. And we identified some that from what we see in our work with students, but we know that there can be many, right? Okay, great. Thank you all for participating. So there you have them. Those are the results of the poll. I'm going to stop sharing this. Okay, thank you for sharing. So it's very normal. Those fears are very normal. Okay, now we're going to play this little game. It's called Guess the Major. And I'm showing you a screenshot of the profile of several UCLA alum. Okay, these are different UCLA alum. And we're going to show you a little bit of their profile. It's just going to show their title and where they work. I want you to guess what they majored in. Okay, so here we have Tadeo. He is a financial manager at Bank of America. What do you all think he majored in? Go ahead and write your responses on the chat. What do you think he majored in? Oh, let me go ahead and move back to the correct presentation. Here we go. Thank you for letting me know. Awesome. So what do y'all think he majored in? Financial manager at Bank of America. I'm seeing a couple guesses here. Accounting and economics, business, math, econ. Yeah, absolutely. All of these make sense to me. Statistics, maybe sociology, history. All right, some of you may be onto us already. History. Joyce, you got it. If we were in person, I would have given you some pizza, but that's awesome. You did great. So let's try a couple more. Janelli Ortiz, she's a technology consultant at Oracle. And it's okay if some of these titles are not familiar. This is going to be part of our conversation. Okay. What do you all think that she majored in? So I'm seeing stats, sociology, business, econ, political science, maybe, psych, math, all across the board. Here I'm seeing a lot more variety all across the board, maybe social science, maybe life science, or physical science. Okay, great. Awesome. These are all great guesses. Okay, great. Thank you, Maddie, for that. Representing the humanities majors there. Absolutely. So these are all great guesses. She's a sociology major, so this falls under the social sciences, but a lot of times students in the social sciences and humanities majors are afraid that their majors are not marketable. And here we have an example of an alum who works in IT. Let's try one more. We have here Niall Bates. She works in product creative strategy at Netflix. So any one of you have a Netflix account? Yes or no if you're a Netflix user on the chat? Yep, me too. Can't wait for Stranger Things to come out. A couple others too, Cobra Kai. I really like Cobra Kai, if any of you like Karate Kid. Okay, so we're getting some guesses here. Communications, marketing, Some Netflix recommendations. Yeah, please drop those on the chat. Um, okay, we have an Umbrella Academy. I actually tried season 1. I did like that. Film, okay. Any others? Any others? Guesses on what this alumni maybe majored in? Film and television, English major. Okay, great. These are all great guesses. Choose a gender studies major. Gender studies major. Okay, so a lot of these weren't super obvious, right? They weren't super obvious. And so, well, this is what we're seeing more and more of today. 75% of college graduates are in careers unrelated to their majors. 75% of college graduates are in careers unrelated to their majors. Okay. So, does the subject matter matter? Right? Does it matter? Right? What are your thoughts? A yes or no on the chat if you believe it matters, or maybe you're not sure, you're unsure. That's okay too. What do you think? Does what you study, what you major in matter? Yes, kind of. No, it doesn't, but they should have some familiarity within the field. Yes, for some careers to a certain degree. Not really, does not. Maybe experience matters more. Mia, we need to hire you. Come work with us. This is awesome. I think it matters to a certain extent. Absolutely. All of these responses are correct. All of these responses are correct. Yes, no, maybe, it depends, experience. All of those are correct. So really, when you've chosen a major, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've chosen a career yet. Choosing a major is a starting point. You can steer your career in a completely different direction. And we're seeing this now more and more. This pandemic, there have been some silver linings that have come out of this. Several people have been forced to pivot, change careers, right? Several people have been forced to do that. And so pivoting is absolutely an option. You can change your mind about your career if you know what it is that employers are looking for and what it is you need for careers, right? So it doesn't mean you've chosen a career. It is not true that most majors lead to particular jobs, and there is not just one major for each career path. So if you've made a career decision on major or not yet, that still does not mean you've made a career decision on career. Okay, so your major does not always equal career. We really want to ingrain that in your mind so that you don't feel limited by that. Often students are afraid to change their major because they don't think they're going to be marketable, and we're showing you that it's not actually the case. So it's your major will not be the limiting factor. The limiting factor will actually be not knowing your options. And so I'm going to actually transition over from setting the tone to thinking about career to my colleague Vanchika, who's going to give us a little bit of a framework for how we can get to that career decision making.
Sweet, thank you. So, Ale, you said that major doesn't necessarily lead to career. So let's look at how else we might go about creating a career in life design for ourselves. Now, I think we can all agree that we do want a career, that's why we're here. And we're all working very hard towards it. To get into UCLA, we had a checklist: SATs, GPA, essays, personal statements, extracurriculars. It was all there. But what about careers? That's where it starts getting a little trickier because there's no checklist or magic formula that can get you there. And that can be really overwhelming, especially, with the pandemic going on, and it's even overwhelming for us as students who work in career services. But while there's no one way to build a career, we did want to share this basic framework to sort of help you in your career decision making and to make the process less daunting, more enjoyable for you. So we'll be diving into this 3-point framework. I'll start off by walking us through knowing yourself and knowing your interests, and then we'll transition into knowing your opportunities. So, okay, getting to know yourself. When you're trying to learn more about yourself, it's important to know what you're good at. And one way to do that is by speaking to your close friends and family, because you've interacted with them, they've seen you deal with challenges and come out of them stronger. So let's find out what they have to say. Text one family member or friend, someone who's preferably quick to respond, and ask them what they see as your top 3 strengths. So we have a minute on this activity. Ale, if you don't mind starting the timer, I'll also text my friend now. All right, just a couple more seconds. Hopefully some responses are coming in. Alrighty. So let's share, if you guys got responses, please put them in the chat and let's see what people have. Okay, so we have positive, great listener, empathetic from Ale, strong communicator, we have conflict resolution, creativity, responsibility. You guys have more responsive friends than I do. No one responded to me, so that's good to know. All right, so through exercises like these, we can create a bank of sort of like soft and hard skills. Like we had research, we had communication, that's like a range of skills that we can, have an inventory of, and we can use those to find careers that we thrive in. For example, if Alex, you said you're a good communicator, so you might perform well in people-facing roles. And another way you can use these skills is to communicate them to employers and jobs through resumes and interviews. Okay, the next aspect of knowing yourself is knowing your personality. Personality is something we can develop and alter throughout our lives based on new experiences, people we meet, etc. But there are certain aspects of our personality that are inherent to who we are, to how we are. We're naturally inclined to being a certain way, whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, a thinker, a feeler. Regardless, it's important that we are aware of our preferences because they will in turn influence what type of work environment we're best suited to. So some of the ways we can learn more about personalities or like our personality types are taking career assessments or personality tests. So I don't know about you guys, but I love doing those BuzzFeed quizzes, the ones where they tell you like what kind of vegetable you are. So career assessments are kind of similar, but a level up from that. You can take like the Myers-Briggs, which some of you might be familiar with. There's also Focus 2, which is available to UCLA students through the Career Center website. Or you can attend our Know Thyself workshop. Quick plug, it's starting on Friday, and you can find more information about that on Handshake as well. And finally, to know yourself, you also want to be aware of what drives you, what's important to you. Is one of your motivating factors being able to support your family? If that's the case, you might want to find a job that pays well. If you want to travel and explore the world, you want to find a job that sort of has those opportunities to relocate maybe down the line in your future. So you can assess your values by taking a values test, which I didn't know was a thing until I learned about it through this presentation. You can also come to one-on-one career counseling to help guide you through that conversation about really understanding what's important to you. And you can also come to the Know Thyself workshops. Okay, question for our attendees. If I had a magic wand right now and could grant you any career wish, what would it be? Please type your answers in the chat. If you're not sure, you can just type unsure. Awesome. Thank you guys for your responses. There's just like this whole plethora of things we want out of our career, out of our job. But also sometimes I can see, like, as Joyce said, she's unsure. That's completely fine too, because we don't know what we don't know. And sometimes we know too much and we're conflicted, and that's fine too. So, we may be aware of things that we're good at, our skills, personality, and stuff, but are still conflicted about what we want out of a career. So what do we do with that? How does knowing all this stuff about you translate into your career prospects and into your future interests and stuff? Early in the presentation, we did discuss that you're not confined to make a career in your major, but that again leaves a whole range of options. So how do you choose? To answer that question, you want to do a little career exploration. And one way you can start your research is on websites like ONET online, which has like an inventory of career options where you can learn about job titles like we saw earlier, database tech consultant. What does that even mean? You can find out on this website. You can learn about the skills and education you need. And you can also take this really helpful career assessment with the link that's provided on the slide. And that's another place you can like learn more about your interests in different careers you might be suited to. You can also research on Vault, which is available to UCLA students via your Handshake account. Similar to the previous website, you can gain insight into different industries, what it's like to work for them day to day, what kind of salaries you get, since a lot of our wishes were to do with like good paying jobs. That's something you want to do your research into. And Vault is the place you can do that. And you can also explore your interests on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. It's such a versatile resource, and we'll dive a little bit more into it as we go along. But to start off, you can see what people in and out of your network are pursuing by connecting with students, alum, professionals, and you can also conduct informational interviews.
Cool. So with that, like Vanshika mentioned, informational interviews are a super, super important and useful tool that you can use once you start discovering what your interests are and wanting to look deeper into those. A great way to do that is through this tool. What they are really is it involves you talking to people who are currently working in fields or industries that you are interested in to gain a better understanding of that occupation. And also to just build a network of contacts in that field. And out of curiosity, has anyone done an informational interview before? If you can in the chat, just put yes or no. Cool. So I see yeses and I also see nos. So it's totally okay if you have not, because now you know about it and you still have time. And now that everything's virtual, I will say it's probably a little easier to do that. People are more available. So awesome. So now, thinking about informational interviews, you might be asking, how do I make these connections if you haven't already done this before, right? Like, how do I look for people who are in those fields that I want to, that maybe you don't already know someone, or you feel like you don't have that network? Well, in fact, we actually all do have a network in common, and that would be the UCLA network. We are all students at UCLA, which means we are already automatically connected to the UCLA network on LinkedIn. And so this is a great way because any UCLA alumni are already, who put that on their LinkedIn profile, are already like on there, and you can connect with them. And so what I mean, to go a little more in depth into that, on the next slide, you'll see that if you go to LinkedIn, you can look up UCLA, and then on the left, like search bar right here, you can see that it says alumni. And once you click that alumni section, it like right away popped up for over 400,000 alumni who went to UCLA. And so then this will give you the opportunity to really see who went to UCLA and who maybe has an interest that's similar to yours. You can go based off on where they live. You could go based off on where they work. And then you can also tailor it to different things like this, like what they do, right? If you're looking for someone in education, what they studied. If you want to see, oh, I'm a poli-sci major, I want to see who else did poli-sci and where they ended up going. And so you can really, really tailor your search. And then once you tailor that search, then this will pop up for your screen, and it'll just share all the profiles of all the people who match your search. And then this will give you the opportunity to go ahead and connect with them. You can go ahead and check out their LinkedIn profiles, look deeper into what they do, where they came from, where they're at right now. And then once you do that, once you want to make that connection with that UCLA alumni, I would suggest customizing your invitation is going to be super important. This is going to give them some reasoning as to who you are, since you might not know each other. And so this is a good example, and feel free to take a picture. But here it says, Dear Megan, I'm currently a freshman at UCLA doing some career exploration. I came across your profile and see that you too are a Bruin and that you are working in the field of marketing. If you could spare 15 minutes at some point, I'd be so grateful to talk to you about your career journey. This is a very welcoming and simple way to just send a little message to UCLA alumni. For the most part, at least in my own experience, I have seen that UCLA alumni have been really open to talking. They want to help and they want to share their own experience and their own knowledge and insight. Um, and so sending something simple like this, you can just do it to multiple people, see who responds, who has the time to right now. Um, and I've actually done this myself. And so when you do this, a lot of things can result from it. Sometimes informational interviews will just give you some clarity on your interests. Sometimes you can go further and connect with them, and they might connect you to someone else. Sometimes they'll eventually become your mentor because you actually had a strong connection right from the start, and they may follow up with you, or you can follow up with them. Or even to some point, they may even think of you in the back of their mind when there is an internship opportunity or job opportunity that does come up, and then they can think of like, oh, there's this person who actually reached out to me who is interested in this field, and might be interested in this internship opportunity. And so I actually personally can attest to this being successful. This past summer, I reached out to someone on LinkedIn, a community organizer that I was like, that I admired greatly. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to get to meet her and know her. And so I connected with her, and she ended up following up with me a couple weeks later and offered me an opportunity to intern with her. And so sometimes it can really go that far and that successful. And so I would say take the chance of just reaching out to get to know people. I wouldn't say expect it to be like, don't ask for a job up front, but definitely just establish that connection. And eventually, if they think of you and you do make that connection with each other, they will reach out in the future, or just maintain that relationship throughout the year if you are interested in that field. And so next slide. Cool.
Wow, thank you. Wow, that was amazing, Mets. I'm glad to hear your story. And I think that that story, that if that testimonial speaks to what we're going to present next on the Know Your Opportunities Bruin edition. So first, I would like to actually get a stage of where everyone's at right now. What do you all think of the information so far? Has it been amazing? Has it been helpful? And the reason why I asked, because on the current slides that we will be presenting as, we know we threw a lot at you, but now we're going to direct you to actionable resources that you can use right around on your laptop. Despite COVID and despite that we won't be seeing each other in person because of the pandemic, it may seem like that the world has stopped and it may seem like nothing's happening, but your career never stops. And all the resources that we're sharing you right now, you can take advantage of these opportunities right now. And the first one I would like to point out that we want all our students to take advantage of is Handshake. So on this first slide here that you're seeing Handshake, I want to ask on the chat, does anyone have a Handshake account, or have they heard of Handshake before? Just type yes or not in the chat. And if you are those person, and if you are a new student and also a transfer student, if you're a first year transfer student, I applaud you, because I did not take Handshake seriously until the end of my first year at UCLA. Like as a transfer, a lot of things are being thrown at you and you only have 2 or 3 years to make the most of it. So if you're on Handshake, awesome. That's the first resource we want you to utilize. A lot of on-campus employment, a lot of internships and full-time jobs are posted on Handshake only to recruit UCLA Bruins. These are employers who are partnered with the UCLA Career Center to only specifically hire Bruins for these opportunities they have available. So if you're on that, and we definitely applaud you. And also on that same picture, you see that we also have an events tab. An events tab where we currently have info sessions and other presentations that students can take advantage of. And one of the main things that students take advantage of our Handshake on the events we post are the undergraduate events, which are UCLA career fairs. So as much as we would love a career fair in person, you can still make and find opportunities in virtual experience with our online career fairs. On this slide, we have already 3 that we have just posted this quarter: the Higher UCLA Career Fair, the Engineering and Tech Fair, and the Graduate Opportunity Search for graduate students. But don't worry, we always have career fairs posted, and we do have some planned out in the winter and spring quarter. So it's never too late or too early to find a job and opportunity, what we want to ask our students is to find the right opportunities. And once you have narrowed down those traces and you have assessed yourself on your skills, on your values, and on your passions, like we mentioned previously, definitely on Handshake, there will be something that speaks to you. And I know personally for me, my first internship in my first year, I did not get one. I applied everywhere and I don't know what I was doing wrong. And I think I was just new to the whole professional development journey. But after keep applying and keep reassessing what are my true values and true skills, I was able to overcome that hurdle that I have personally, and that's being shy during interviews. Interviews, I think, are really scary for me. I feel like a person is judging me and writing everything I say on paper, and that was all intimidating to me. But the more you assess yourself on a personal level, the more confident you become. And once I did that, I was able to feel more confident with my resume and then speak to someone at the career center that would help me tremendously and attend a career fair. And from there, I was able to land an internship in my second year at school. So even though if you don't have an internship that summer, no worries. I think for me personally, it's all a journey. So whatever whatever something doesn't work out, eventually life finds a way to make it work out in the end. So I truly believe that. And I think the Career Center definitely wants to instill that on all their students. So Career Fair is another great resource. If you move on to the next slide, we have also a plethora of amazing resources on our UCLA Career Center website. As you can see here, I'm not going to go through each one since there are 8 in total, but I do would like to highlight ones that you probably all should be taking advantage right now because it's not only free, you're paying for it. And thank you, Ale, for posting the link on the website, career.ucla.edu. And I'm glad that someone mentioned that they use VMOC because that was the one I wanted to prioritize. I'm glad because VMOC is an amazing resource tool. We just are launching it this year. Virtual Mock, as it sounds, what it is, it's an algorithm smart resume platform, which means that it's a computer teaching you how to construct a resume as best as possible via a point system. So how it works is that you submit whatever resume draft you have right now. That website will automatically scan your resume in a matter of seconds. It will give it a score of a range from a 1 to 10. And whatever you score you get, it tells you why you scored that way. And from there, it walks you through how you can get a perfect score. And the higher your score is, the more your resume fits the standard of what recruiters are looking for in the job market. And that is by how you well crafted your bullet points, how well formatted and consistent are your experiences highlighted throughout the resume. Is it one page? Is one font or one word a typo? And even the text if a sentence is awkwardly structured. So even to grammar it detects. So we would love everyone to take advantage of this resource. It's awesome. And at the same time, it's on demand 24/7. So you do not have to wait for someone to look at your resume. You can have a website do it for you. And we have found it to be very useful for ourselves and also for our students. So that's one resource I would like to highlight. And the next resource I would like to highlight, and this will be my last one as well, is Parker Dewey. As you can see here, those are paid micro internship opportunities for UCLA students of all majors. So if we are in the school year and we do have a lot of obligations, but you can also still take advantage of internship opportunities and not have those be waited for in the summer. And I have personally have navigated through that website and I have found amazing internship opportunities that have been really helpful. And this is just something to further boost your resume, which is a concern as a transfer student because you come in as a transfer with that feeling, I do not have enough on my resume. How can I make the most out of my 2 years with such little experience? So there's so many ways you can navigate that threshold. And I found that this resource to be one of the reasons and one of the opportunities of how I was able to navigate that. Okay, and more part 2 on the Career Center website slide. We also have resources on Handshake such as Going Global, Focus 2, Interview Stream, etc. So on the first half of the slide, I would like to focus on Going Global because I know UCLA has a huge international student population. And we also do have a lot of students who not just want to find opportunities in the US, but maybe abroad as well. So Going Global is a great resource to find jobs or full-time internships or summer internships internationally. So you can even log in here and see what else opportunities are out there and go from there. And then the world is your horizon, so you can just see what's out there. And I'm sure there are something available now. And also, what Vanshika mentioned in her presentation, Vault is also on Handshake and also on the UCLA Career Center website. And like she mentioned, it's basically how it sounds. It's a vault of information of industry profiles, company profiles, specific role profiles such as consulting or investment banking or other roles outside of business. And you can basically get on-demand access to an overview of what that industry is like, what the roles are like, what the salaries are like, etc. So it's a really good overview of information of everything you need to know about specific career profession. And the last thing on Metzley's presentation, when she was discussing values and information, all that's under the career exploration tools on the values worksheet, and then also on resume and for interviewing the SWOT analysis. That's another great resource for interviewing and how to assess your strengths and weaknesses, because I'm pretty sure we all been asked that question when interviewing for stuff. What are your strengths and weaknesses? And I think that tool is great for assessing on how to answer that question. Mhm. And then lastly, this is my last resource, but we all mentioned of LinkedIn of and seeking out UCLA Bruins that way. What I think is a personally underutilized resource that most students do not take advantage of is UCLA One, which is basically LinkedIn only for UCLA students and students only. So on the next slide, after this page, this is how it looks. It's similar to LinkedIn. You have your social media feed. On your left, you have your infographics on where do you want to go. Do you want to search up if there's any jobs available, what events are happening, what are occurring. And on the right, there's also even more postings. And on the next slide, after UCLA One, Ale, this is the one that I want to speak of most for all students to take advantage of. Everyone on UCLA One is a former UCLA Bruin or is a current UCLA student, and you have to manually create a UCLA One account yourself. You do not get one signed up as you're a UCLA student. And I want to emphasize that because everyone who is here is UCLA One is interested and highly interested in connecting with other Bruins. And this slide right here, as we spoke with information or interviews and networking, um, these are mentors who specifically display their public profiles as willing to help. And there's over hundreds, if not thousands. I think here I'm seeing over 1,028 UCLA alumni registered students, alumni who are willing to help and mentor students who ask for it. And I think that's the question. And I think that's what we want to emphasize. Um, if you want help, what I learned the hard way is that you have to ask for it. And what I have found, especially with Metzley's template, is that with that reaching out to help, you'd be surprised by how many people will respond to that message, because a lot of people were in our shoes once, struggling and finding our careers, our destiny, what to do out of college, or what should I be doing or planning for now to get to where I want to go, such as where you are right now. And I found that everyone at UCLA One has been really responsive. And so that is a separate website from LinkedIn, and it is a separate website from Handshake, but it is free and registered, and you can sign in easily, and it takes a matter of seconds. And UCLA One has been super helpful for me. I've connected with a lot of people who I previously thought I was interested in this role, but after speaking with them for 30 minutes to an hour and hearing more about it, I come to the conclusion, maybe that is not what I want to do. And haven't I had not received that insight, I would be applying for something that I know already wouldn't be closer to where I actually want to end up going. And so UCLA One, I highly recommend it. I know we threw a lot of resources at you, but you will get these slides at the end, so it'll be easy for you to reference. But I just want to emphasize that these resources are actionable and you can take them right now, in even amongst a pandemic. And there is a huge online community that is willing to help you along the way in whichever stage you are in your career, and whether you are a new student or freshman or transfer, or where you are a senior right now or in your last quarter at UCLA.
So sorry, I was trying to find my unmute button. So yeah, now that we talked about all these great resources and kind of talking about, sometimes majors don't really align with the career that you end up in, I have a question for y'all. How many times do people change their careers during their working life? How many do you think? You can just drop it in the chat. Okay, we have 4, 3 to 5, 4, 3, 6, 7. Okay. Okay, well, in fact, the answer is, next slide, not too far off. The average person will change careers 5 to 7 times. So pretty not far off, but it is, honestly, for me, it was a surprise that many times. And this is just referring to careers, not jobs. So this is a huge amount of times that people do change. And so it comes to show that it's normal. It's very much normal. It's the average person that changes that many times. And so you will probably be discovering your different interests or different things that you want to do in your career along the way throughout your career. And so that is totally okay.
Alrighty, folks, it is time for a poll. Do you feel more confident in your future career prospects? So we asked you at the beginning of the presentation about your career fears, and we want to know if you feel like this presentation has addressed your concerns or at least helped reassure you about your career journey. Feel free to be as honest as possible. Oh, sweet. Okay, so we have a 63% yes rate. No is 10%, unsure 27. Well, that's good to know. We're really glad this this presentation has helped you sort of realign yourself, instill in you the confidence you need to go forth and move on to your future steps and really make the most of your time. So with that in mind, to further channel this confidence and this motivation that we've cultivated here, here are some next steps that you might consider taking. Using the framework we discussed today about the career and life design, you can outline some actionable steps for yourself. For example, after this presentation, you might want to go and take a personality assessment, maybe do the Myers-Briggs, or maybe schedule an appointment with one of our career counselors like Ale, or one of our come into drop-ins with our lovely peers. And we have some other career center resources that can help you in these actionable steps as well on the next slide. So yeah, as I mentioned, there are the virtual career advising, which are 30-minute appointments. There are drop-in sessions, which you can have with one of the peers where we can go over your resume, your cover letter, help you with your job and internship search. And then, of course, through Handshake, there are all these other events that you can attend that are still ongoing. There's the Know Thyself, sorry, did I say it right? The Know Thyself workshop that's starting on Friday, which you can register for. And yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all so much for your engagement on the Zoom chat this afternoon. If you're on the same time zone as us, we really appreciate your engagement. Please know that we are here for you. This is why we developed this webinar. It is an introduction. We are scratching the surface here, right? We are scratching the surface. So if you're here because you're unsure, then just know that there's a lot of room for exploration, and the Career Center offers a lot of resources to help facilitate that exploration. So now you've hopefully been reassured that if you don't know by now, that's okay. You have a lot of options, and you have a team here that's dedicated to helping you with this process, with your exploration and with preparing and then making that plan, right? So if you have any questions, I'm going to stop the recording now, but we will stick around for at least another 15 minutes. If you all want to ask us questions on the chat, we'll stick around and answer those questions. So we'll be here. If you have any questions at all about your own career concerns or anything else related to preparing, then we'll be here. I'm just going to stop the recording.